All right, so we're gonna start our new week here. New unit. In units 1 and 2, we did a method of finding keywords, right? Like we took a short passage, like that one about the octopus and
The blue ring octopus.
yes. And for every single sentence, we did what?
A keyword.
Yeah, we found how many keywords for each sentence?
3.
Yeah, 3 keywords, and symbols were free. But then, and that was like for every single sentence. In unit 3, we moved to doing what to get our keywords?
Keyword story sequence chart.
Yeah, we did a story sequence chart. And we used that method of getting keywords. So what we did was we read through the story, we talked through it, we put it in our mind. Do you remember when we read Odysseus and the Cyclops? We talked about it a lot more than we did maybe the blue-ringed octopus.
Mm-hmm.
Like we just kind of read that and then started finding keywords. With Odysseus, we're discussing it more. I'm stopping after every paragraph like, wow, we're talking about it. We're getting the whole story in our heads. Then we swirled around a bit, in our heads as we're talking about it, as we're, going back and looking at different sentences, different pieces of the story, laughing about things. And then we pull it out of our heads with a story sequence chart. So at this point, we're not looking at each sentence. We're just looking at maybe the first section of the story, the intro, and saying, let's pull out some interesting points about that. Let's still do, an outline, like our story sequence chart, and let's still use like 3 words and some symbols. But instead of like looking every single sentence, we're just looking at the grouping of that section to pull out the info to make our story sequence chart. Well, now we're starting unit 4. And unit 4 is going to be focused more on writing reports, which we've all done before. One thing I like about this is that they take us from like a unit of creative writing to a unit of report writing, back to a unit of creative writing, back to a unit of report writing. So we're not stuck for a long time on just writing reports, because people who like creative writing hate writing reports, and vice versa. There are a lot of people that like factual writing because you know exactly what's expected of you, and don't like creative writing. So we're never stuck on one thing for too long. So I'm curious, what do you guys think? Do you prefer writing creative things like stories, or do you prefer writing reports? Creative?
I don't care.
You don't care? Okay. Alrighty. So we're kind of mixed here. I wonder what Jeremiah and Max would say. All right. So when we do research, how do we research? Just walk me through that process.
Research for what?
If I tell you that you're going to write a report on a president, how are you going to research?
Find books or like websites.
Yeah. Books. Okay. What are you going to do with that? I give you a book. Yeah, you're going to find information. How are you going to pull that information out? Like to remember it. Do you just keep it all up here?
Write it down.
Okay, so you're going to write it down. Okay, but how? Let's take that a step further. Do you...
Like bullet points. Not really like full thoughts, but
Okay.
something that'll remind me so then I can make it into full thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. What we want to talk about is how do we take notes without copying? How do you take notes on something without actually copying the whole thing
Put it into your own
down?
words.
Okay, yes. Normally, we're like, okay, put it into your own words. Well, this may come as a surprise to you, but there are people who struggle with writing and would say, I don't have my own words. You're telling me to write about a president I'm not real interested in a president. I don't, in any presidents, I don't necessarily have I don't have a lot of knowledge about this, and I don't like writing, and I'm not good at writing. So, or I don't like writing this kind of paper. I don't have words. You tell me to put it in my own words. I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's valid. Okay? That is totally valid. Oftentimes when we tell somebody to put it in their own words, what happens? Do you guys have any idea?
They just plagiarize anyway.
Yeah, they just plagiarize anyway. Do you know that if you take a sentence like Bob and Sally swung high up in the swing and their feet touched the tree branch. Okay. Bob and Sally swung high up in the swing and their feet touched the tree branch. Just pulled that out of my head. If that's a piece of your research, you find this in a book, okay? You're finding this in a book. Mm-hmm. A lot of people will, they'll copy that sentence out, and when they go to put it in their actual paper, this is the note that they've taken, okay? How do they make it their own? They're just gonna switch some words around, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, like swinging high up Bob and Sally's feet touched the tree branch. Well, I got news for you. That's plagiarism. You're not copying it exactly, but just switching some words around, that doesn't make it yours. You're keeping that person's thought, and you're just switching it around so that it doesn't sound like theirs. Let me get my coffee. So, I think that's something that we've probably all done that, right? Mm-hmm. I'll admit to that. I remember in high school, one of my social studies classes, I had a really awesome teacher, and he let us pick, I want to say it was any country in the world to do a research project on. My parents had adopted my sister from China about 4 years before. And my mom had taught us a lot about China. I was fascinated by China, and I thought, I want to write about this. And, we had to write about the history of the country and everything. And that was overwhelming because China is one of the most ancient cultures. So, if you guys look up, if you're going to write a report on Peru, the Peruvian people, as different tribes, have been there for a long time, but the formation of the country of Peru is, you can go back to the formation of the country. I don't know when. I'm not sure when Peru was formed, but maybe 150, 200 years. But before that, you have to do some research on different tribes, but that research is even going to be a little more limited. But for China, this is like 2,000 years. And you're talking about dynasties. And then when you get into more current events, like the past 100 years in China, it was horrific and gross. And I started having nightmares, actually, about some of the stuff I was researching. So what did I do? Well, my mom talked to the teacher and we came up with a plan that I could write a really thorough paper, but maybe didn't have to put in as much of the history, since it was 10 times more than what everybody else's countries had. We kind of pared down what history was required, so I wasn't, because my paper at that point when my mom went to my teacher was 18 pages long. It's pretty ridiculous. But I was getting exhausted and really tired of this. And so do you know what I started doing? I started doing this. Just taking information. And when I realized that I was doing that, I was uncomfortable with that, because I'm like, I know that this is plagiarizing. I don't want to do this. And I don't want my teacher to think that I'm doing this. So what do? I start mixing up my sources more. So when I'm doing this, 5 sentences in a row aren't coming from one source. I'm like, okay, this is coming from one source. Then the next sentence is coming from another source. Then the next sentence is coming from another source. And do you know what happened? I ended up putting a lot more work into it than I needed to, because that's a lot of work. It is so much easier to do what we're going to talk about. And I don't know that I've ever written. You guys haven't been in my paper groups before. No? Okay. I like how they teach us to write papers here. It's kind of how I teach to write papers. I think of the 5 of you, Max is the only one that's written paper before. But
We didn't really, I don't know what we did.
The famous.
We really kind of didn't really, we did write papers, but like, we did
Right, but
worksheets. It was really weird.
yeah, and you weren't with me. You weren't in my group.
No.
Okay. So what is one problem that you have when you are researching to write a paper? You're gonna write a paper on pick a president, any president.
Trump.
Okay, you're gonna write a paper on Donald Trump. All right. Well, I'm gonna tell you, you're a 9th grader. You need
3 pages.
3 internet sources and 2 book sources. So here, I'm gonna give you 5 sources right here. Okay. 3 of the internet sources are like Britannica articles and World Book articles and something, but they're all like, there's a lot of info there, okay? Because he's been around for a long time. And then I'm going to give you 2 books. Now, do you have enough information to write your paper?
Probably, I don't know. I never read it. I didn't get into it.
Okay. Well, they're all about Donald Trump, so there's a lot of information there. All the information, I've made sure before I give you your sources, it covers his childhood. It covers his time, like as an adolescent and a young adult. It covers his years in business, and it covers his presidency. Everything you need should be in those sources. How much information do you have?
A lot.
A lot. Too much.
Too much. Yeah, you have a lot. It is too much. That is quite possibly one of the number 1 problems we have when writing a paper. There is just too much information. Too many facts. So let's say that I tell you that you need 7 facts. That's just a nice number here. You're going to start up here with your, 7 facts, and at the end, we count up, you got 7 facts. Okay? You research, you find 7 facts, you end up with 7 facts. But what happens if you research and you find 10 facts? And you have to narrow it down to 7. That can be challenging, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What do you put in? You have to put in the right thing, right? But we got to narrow it down. You don't need all 10 of these. It can be overwhelming. I have definitely read papers before where students just put in too much. Like, I'm glad that you found all this out. This is great. But guys, it's okay to not put every single detail in a paper. That's okay. This is a paper. If I wanted to get every single detail, I'd read the Britannica. And then I'd read the World Book. And then I'd read the biography. You're writing a paper. All right. You're going to choose the best ones. Right? You're going to choose the best facts. How do you know what to choose? Any idea?
The ones that stick out to you the most.
Yep, the ones that stick out to you the most. Well, to get there, we're going to kind of take a little rabbit trail. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to summarize. What does it mean to summarize? Well, what word is in here?
To sum it up.
Yes, sum it up. So when I do multiplication or addition, for example, I have the add end, then I add an add end, and I come up with a sum, right? Okay. What else is in you're taking these two things together and coming up with a whole. What other word is in here? What about summary? We want to make a summary. We want to summarize. You want to sum it up. Like add and sum. You want to sum it up. What that means is you don't need to tell all. Okay? You do not need to tell all of the facts. What it means is you want to take all of the facts and put them through the siphon or the funnel until you've funneled it down to just the ones that you feel are essential, or the ones that fit in your rubric, the ones that are required. Okay? So we want to summarize. Okay? When you see that word summarize, think S-O-M-E, sum. You just want some of the facts. You're going to limit it. Okay? So how do we know what facts to choose? Because I think if it was me sitting there and my teacher was telling me just summarize, just pick some of the facts, I'd be like, how do I know what to choose? Okay? Anybody have an idea? Like, how would you choose what facts to keep in and what facts to leave out? All right, you're going to choose what you think is interesting, okay? This is one of the ways in which I hear your voice coming through your paper. You know how I know that I'm reading your work? When I read it, and instead of it being my voice that's reading it, I hear your voice coming through. And some people have a very distinct writing style that I can actually, I can sit there and read it, and when I read it, it's being read to me in your voice. This is one of the ways you can do that, because we all think different facts are interesting. I noticed when we did Odysseus and the Cyclops, Ben focused on the guys getting ripped limb from limb. Well, that was something he found interesting. It was interesting. It was exciting. That was one of the things that to you added depth to the story. Yeah. I did not hear others focusing on that as much. You guys focused on different things. So those are things that come through. What about what is important? Well, all right. If you were writing that paper on Donald Trump, what would be some important facts? I'm going to give you 5 facts. Well, not specific facts, but 5 examples. Tell me which ones you think are going to be the most important. The town he grew up in. How many siblings he had. I'm going to write them down for you. Town. Number, siblings. Year born. Let's see. Where he went to school. And, let's say one more. Let's give it his interests as a kid. And we'll do one more. His business interests. If you're going to eliminate two of those that you don't feel are as important as the other ones, which two are you going to eliminate?
Probably where you went to school
Okay.
and probably
Remember, you're writing about a president, a current president. Well, like, who's still alive, like modern era.
maybe the siblings.
Yeah, I think the siblings for sure. Okay, what about you, Leah? Which two are you going to eliminate?
Probably where you went to school. And probably siblings.
Okay. Mia?
I'd probably say the same.
Okay.
Because I feel like business interest.
Yeah, I think business interests, I mean, that's how he became famous and, like, well-known, and how he started understanding, like, laws and regulations more, because he was in business. The town he was born, well, it just, you know, that's key information about him. It helps us understand him as a person a little more. The year he was born, well, I mean, he's getting older. It's, you know, is he 40 or is he 80? That makes a difference. His interests as a kid, why do you think that would be relevant to your paper?
Maybe you can see how his interests reflects on his business now.
So you're connecting these two. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. Because if it was me, I would have said we definitely want to keep, like, maybe like his elementary and high school. But I've said if he went to college, I probably would have kept that in.
Yeah.
But isn't that interesting? Like, you know, yeah, you have to figure out, what do I need to put in here and what do I not need to put in here. You do not want to end up with that 18-page paper where you have put a ridiculous amount of work into something that you don't need to put that much work into it. Okay? It also makes it a lot harder to take notes. A lot harder. All right. Oh, so you're going to choose what is interesting. And this might be a good place, guys, to get out a piece of paper and take some notes. Interesting, important, and the last one is relevant. I should have left those other ones up. What I wrote about Trump there. Because what is relevant to your paper? Well, if we're writing about Donald Trump as president, his interests as a kid are really not relevant. So we can take those out. In fact, you could take it where he was educated out because, you know, he's not like a fresh college grad. You could leave that in too if you want to tie in like what his degree is, and you know, if you're arguing if he has the skills and the knowledge necessary to be president. It really depends what angle you're coming at it from. What's your purpose in writing the paper? But yeah, you're going to choose what is interesting, important, and relevant. So after you get those down, open your binder to page 65. Page 65. Mm-hmm. 65. The story is called The Hooded Pitahui.
Mm-hmm.
The hooded Pitahui.
We're starting another one.
What?
We're starting another one.
We are. Now, but this is more of a report type thing. This is not a story like the Heart in the Ox Stall. This is not a story like Odysseus and the Cyclops. This is about the hooded Pitahui. So one thing I want you to do is, as we read, you need to have a pencil with you. Does anybody need a pencil? Okay. Oh, awesome. You have them. Great. And what I want you to do is, out here, this is called the margin. This area outside of it. So you need to follow along. And in the margin, if there's a fact that you find interesting, put a check mark by the line. Okay? Your goal is by the end, you want to have about 10 check marks. Okay? Which really honestly could be almost all the lines. If you would rather like circle the word or just underline, that is okay too. The margins are really great, but whatever's going to be easiest for you. But if you have 10, it should make choosing 6 to 7 of them fairly easy. All right, let's go ahead and read. The hooded Pitahui. The hooded Pitahui is the first poisonous bird ever discovered. The bird lives in the forests of New Guinea, where it is known as the rubbish bird. Does anybody know where New Guinea is?
Isn't that from the Kit movie?
It could be. I always think Swiss Family Robinson because that's where they're
Oh,
going.
yeah,
It's Swiss
that's
Family
what I meant.
Robinson. I really like in the IEW video that he has the map on the wall. I need to bring a world map in and ask Miss Amy if I can just tack it up there, because I think that would be helpful. But New Guinea is near Australia.
Especially when we start saving gas soon.
Yeah. All right. The bird lives in the forests of New Guinea, where it is known as the rubbish bird. Part of the oriole family. Oh, we've heard of orioles before, right? Like an oriole is a kind of bird. The Baltimore Orioles are named after it. Part of the oriole family, this songbird is brightly colored with a red or orange belly and back and a black hood-like head. It is a medium-sized bird, averaging about 9 inches in length. In 1989, a researcher was assisting a hooded Pitahui caught in a mesh trap. Its claws scratched the man and his skin grew numb. He licked the cuts, oh dear, and his tongue grew numb too. Tests showed the bird's feathers and skin were poisonous. While the hooded Pitahui primarily eats fruit, it also consumes various insects, and it probably gets its toxicity from eating corysine beetles. The poison is a batrachotoxin, similar to that of the poison dart frog, and it may serve to deter predators as well as protect the birds from parasites. Local natives know not to hunt or eat the Pitahui. All right. So,
I know this whole thing.
I know it's just full of facts, right? So your goal is to find the facts that are interesting to you. So this doesn't mean that you have to underline every single fact. You want to look at what's interesting. This is more subjective. What's interesting to you? Is the coloring of the bird interesting to you? Is it more interesting to you that the guy got numb just because he was scratched and then whatever was in the scratch got in his tongue? Or is it more interesting to you that it's from New Guinea? We all have different interests. I have a feeling you probably like the poison aspect.
Yeah, I do.
I'm kind of a map nerd. I like the fact that it's from New Guinea. What do you girls like?
I like the coloring. And,
Okay. Yep.
That's what I was gonna say.
I thought maybe both of you would like that. What else, Mia?
How the researcher's tongue got
Got numb.
yeah.
Yeah. So this interesting part, this is subjective. What's important? I mean, I guess you could say it's all important, like it's all facts about him. That's where it gets a little more challenging, isn't it? What about relevant? If you're gonna write a little report on the hooded pitahui, you need to choose what you think is relevant out of this information for your report. So you should have about 10 things underlined. If you don't, I'm gonna challenge you to pause for a minute and go back and just eliminate a few things, okay? And make sure that it's through the whole thing. If you stopped underlining after the second paragraph because you're like, oh, I got 10, read through the last paragraph again and pull out some facts. Bless you.
Thank you.
Also remember that each sentence can have multiple facts, and that's okay. You can pull out multiple facts from one sentence. Okay, yep, we're going through and narrowing down our to 10. Don't feel a ton of pressure from this. It's really okay.
That's part of the sentence.
All right, we have 10.
No, but I'm 5 more.
Oh no. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give the next set of instructions, which is to pare it down to 7.
I have it.
You have 7?
Yes.
Okay.
I just did it.
Okay.
Wrote it down.
Great.
I'm counting sentences as one because it's one.
Oh, nope. You can have multiple facts in each sentence. So you need to get rid of, make sure that each individual fact is a fact. Interesting, important, and relevant. I'm going to write those across the top.
Does all of the like it says brightly colored, red, orange belly, and back hooded, does that count as one fact or is that multiple?
That's one.
Okay, that's what I thought.
I think that can be one, like how it looks.
Yeah.
Give me either one. So the skill that we're learning in this unit is taking a large number of facts and pulling out what you want, what is relevant, what is important, and what is interesting, and making it manageable, okay? So hit pause for that and take that fresh piece of paper that I just gave you. And at the top, I want you to write the hooded pitahui. Then we're going to do the exact same thing that we've done before for our story sequence charts and our KWOs. We're going to put a Roman numeral 1, then 2, or 1, 2, 3,
Actually, I think I can fix this.
4, 5, 6.
I can fix it. Here we go.
I think for 7, I put it in parentheses there and then clincher. I actually have no idea why he put it in parentheses, so we're actually just gonna, let's not do that.
Fixed it.
Okay, so this Roman numeral 1 is our topic sentence. So I'm going to write that here. I'm actually going to use a different color. Number 1 is our topic sentence. Okay? Okay. Our topic sentence gives us the main idea. The thing that the whole paragraph is about. Okay? So it's like a one sentence intro. So if I'm writing a bird, I'm not looking at the story at all. That's not a story. The source text. I'm not looking at the source text at all. But I'm going to say the hooded pitahui is the first bird ever to be discovered as poisonous, and it lives in New Guinea. There's my opening sentence. I probably could get rid of the New Guinea thing. Just say the hooded pitahui was the first bird to ever be discovered as poisonous. That's my topic sentence. Okay? Now, let's see. Let's write, let's go down here. Our clincher sentence. You're just going to wrap it up. So if I'm wrapping up the hooded pitahui, I'm going to say, people who live in the regions, in regions with the hooded pitahui are always careful to not hunt or interact with this poisonous bird. That wraps it up, right? Kind of take it all together, full circle, and wrap it up in a neat little bow, and you're done. Well, we're going to do a little activity where we, no, not yet. Okay. So we have our topic sentence, and we have our clincher. Most of these topic sentences and clinchers repeat 2 or 3 keywords. So what were the keywords that I used in mine? First ever poisonous bird to be discovered, right? Natives who live in the same areas as the hooded pitahui are careful not to hunt this poisonous bird. So I think I used poisonous. I used bird. So there you go. You're going to repeat 2 to 3 keywords. Does that make sense? Between your topic sentence and your clincher, you're typically going to repeat 2 or 3 words. All right, so I have something for us to memorize. It's super short. The topic sentence and the clincher sentence must repeat or reflect 2 or 3 keywords. So I'm going to write it up here. The topic sentence and the clincher sentence must repeat or reflect 2 to 3 keywords. All right, so we're all going to say this together. On the video, he had them actually doing hand motions. I think hand motions can be a really great way to help you memorize, because when you're using another part of your body, it actually ingrains what you're doing and makes the connection and ingrains what you're doing in your brain, and you are much more likely to remember it. But you're looking a little gray. Can you drink some of this? Okay. It helps you memorize. So if you would like to do motions, we can do that. I was thinking you probably would not want to do motions. Okay, well, let's all say this together. Ready? Go. The topic sentence and the clincher sentence must repeat or reflect 2 to 3 key words. Again, the topic sentence and the clincher sentence must reflect or repeat 2 to 3 key words. One more time. The topic sentence and the clincher sentence must repeat or reflect 2 to 3 key words. Okay, so how did we come up with our title for our stuff before? Or always? Yeah, 2 to 3 key words from, or 1 to 3 really, from your last sentence. Well, it's kind of the same idea, right? 2 to 3 key words in your first sentence and your last sentence, your topic sentence, your clincher sentence. So that might be something else to write on that page where you wrote interesting, important, and relevant. Write this sentence with these things. On the same paper that you wrote interesting, important, and relevant, you're going to write this sentence just underneath it. This is just notes for you. Okay, 40 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to erase this, and we're actually going to, well, I'm going to give you a sample of what this will end up looking like. I have written my own little informational piece. Everything has been highly researched, okay? So, number 1 is going to be my topic sentence. Now, instead of just writing out my words here, my keywords, I'm actually going to write the whole sentence. So I might actually not put my numbers yet. Let me do this. Okay. My little highly researched paragraph is about why celery is the worst food ever.
Good with peanut butter.
And because I feel passionately about my topic sentence, I am putting an exclamation point. Okay? So do you see, this is my topic sentence. Okay. Now I need to add 7 facts behind this. And I have come up with 7 facts that have been verified by a research team. All the voices in my head researched this, and they know for sure that these are facts. So number 1. Fact 1, while celery doesn't smell bad, it has 0 flavor. Okay? Number 2. If someone has eaten celery, it can be on their breath afterwards, which is gross. Number 3 and 4 actually in one sentence.
It is actually good.
All right, 3 and 4. Not only is celery stringy when being cut, it is especially stringy when being chewed. So, stringy when being cut is 3, stringy when being chewed is 4. Strings get stuck in your teeth, which is uncomfortable. Celery can only be bought in a bunch, making it a waste to buy if you need only 1 or 2 stalks. And then I have, for all of these reasons and so many more, celery is certainly the worst food. I won't write that up. So I wrote this all out because I want us to actually go back through and underline the facts. So my topic sentence, celery is the worst food ever. Actually, I should write the last one. For all of these reasons. All right. So my topic sentence, my clincher sentence, actually I have a few more than 2 to 3 words. Almost repeats itself. I could probably do some work on that to eliminate that. I could change it to, for all these reasons and so many more, I hate celery. All right, what's the fact in the first sentence? While celery doesn't smell bad, it has 0 flavor. Mia?
0 flavor.
Yeah, there's a fact. 0 flavor. Leah, the fact in sentence 2. If someone's eaten celery, it can be on their breath afterwards, which is gross.
Breath afterwards.
Yeah, be on their breath afterwards. Okay. Benjamin, what is one of the facts in sentence, or in number 3 and 4? Not only is celery stringy when being cut, it is especially stringy when being chewed.
Stringy when it's being chewed.
Yes, stringy when it's being chewed. Mia, what's the other fact there?
Stringy when being cut.
Yep.
teeth.
Yeah, the strings get stuck in your teeth. All right, Benjamin 6. Celery can only be bought in a bunch, making it a waste to buy if you only need 1 or 2 stalks.
Celery can only be bought in a bunch.
Yeah. I'm just going to bought in a bunch. Okay. Now, do you see how, instead of just making a list, celery is the worst food ever. It has 0 flavor. It can be smelled on people's breath after eating. It's stringy when being cut. It is stringy when being chewed. The strings get stuck in people's teeth. Celery can only be bought in bunches. That wasn't very interesting, was it? It's just facts about celery that we already know. I'm probably not going to remember that if somebody writes that for me or if somebody reads that to me. It conveys no opinion. But when we build words around it, all of a sudden we have an entire paragraph where I think you guys know my feelings on celery now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So what you guys are going to do is you're going to write your own KWO, set up like this with then Roman numeral 1 as your topic sentence, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I did not put a 7th fact because I couldn't think of a 7th fact about celery. I probably could have researched. Are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then don't worry about your clincher sentence yet. But you guys are going to take this hooded pitahooey and make your own KWO for it. And you don't need to write the full sentence. Just write like fact 1, fact 2, fact 3. Okay? So go ahead and get started on that.